Imagine yourself having a great hacking skills and endless possibilities in a virtual world. What would you do? Would you make millions of dollars by stealing people's info or hacking bank accounts? Or would you become a vigilante who fights online crime? Or perhaps both? Welcome guys, it's Motion Recaps again, and today we're covering the 2016 crime drama, Hacker. The story follows Alex's life, whose family hits financial trouble. Alex Danyliuk turns to a life of crime and identity theft with the help of Sai, a streetwise hustler who introduces him to the world of bank market trading. Kira, a young female hacker and contacts on the dark web. After finding success in causing financial market chaos, they gain the attention of Z, a mysterious masked figure who's the head of an organization known as Anonymous and a #1 target by the FBI. Before we start, feel free to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Please also remain with us until the end to find out how spectacular the story unravels. It also helps our great community to grow and also helps us to strive for the highest quality content. So without further ado, why don't we start? The movie begins with a Ukrainian couple coming to live in Canada. They have a little boy named Alex, and he's our cyber protagonist. The family settles in a small town, and they bought a house there, and everything was nice and quiet for some time. However, problems manifest after some time. Their debt to a bank was enormous. The father couldn't find any job, so he drank all day with his friends. Mother found a job in a bank, and they were back on their feet. At the time, little Alex saw a computer for the first time, and it fascinated him. Throughout the years, his skills improved and he wanted to go to a college to learn more about IT. Alex realized he needed money for college and he looked on the internet for jobs. He worked as a clicker visiting websites for money and he made an acceptable amount of money out of it. Some time has passed and Alex has grown. One night he goes out for coffee and on the TV he hears about a hacker organization called the Dark Web. They're fighting against corrupted banks and everything similar to them. Alex is fascinated by them. He gets home for the next morning, only to find his mother crying because she lost her job and the bank will take their house. Alex decides to join Dark Web's forum. He figures out that ranks exist within the group and that he needs to do something sketchy to prove himself. Alex then creates a fake website and he manages to steal a credit card from a cocky school bully. Alex gets a higher rank and soon he connects with a guy named Roosevelt to earn some money. Roosevelt buys cheap and Alex sells high. Everyone gets their share and everyone is happy. After some time, Alex moves to Toronto because of college. He parts way with his parents and he promises he will send money to them. Alex moves into a luxurious apartment with a marvelous view of the city. And then he finds out that he cannot apply for college right now and that he needs to wait for a few months. He decides to earn some money and he goes out to the forum where he finds credit cards for usage. And then he buys some watches and ventures out in the city hoping to sell them but with no luck. While Alex desperately goes from store to store, we can see that one man is following him. He later introduces himself as Sai and he tells Alex that he will sell the watches but only if he gets a cut. Alex agrees and Sai goes to a pawn shop where Alex didn't manage to sell watches and he comes back with a load of money. Sai asks Alex to walk with him and then he explains to him the art of selling. Together they sell a bunch of things and they get rich quickly. Alex sees a broadcast with Dark Web leader Zed and he gives up on college and to fight against evil rich people. They decide to leak tons of credit cards to the forum and then Sai. People help them out by taking pictures of their clients' credit cards. The duo leaks a nice amount of cards in no time. The duo gets to a strip club and Sai's friend gives them a credit card from some Colombian gangster that sexually harassed a worker. Soon the duo goes undercover and they withdraw a load of money from that card. After that, they decided not to do that again because it's dangerous to use that card. That night, they celebrate their stunt. Tomorrow, Alex is strolling through a forum and he finds out that the bank who fired his mom is on the blacklist. He decides to take an act of revenge against the bank. He and Sai go there and Alex is fully undercover. Alex enters the bank and he opens an account. However, Alex creates a diversion and he inserts his SUB into a computer. The system goes crazy and Alex says that he will come back later when they manage to fix it. Sai is in the car waiting for his friend. He feels relieved when he sees him coming out. Suddenly, security shows up and they ask Alex to go with them. Sai leaves the car and goes after them. The duo is sitting in a room when a man named Curtis shows up. He's the head of security, and he tells Cy to get out because he wants to talk with Alex alone. Curtis tells Alex that he will press charges against him unless he tells him how he made that program that corrupted their system. Alex is silent, but eventually he speaks and he strikes a deal with Curtis to upgrade their security for free if Curtis lets him go. Curtis agrees. That night, the duo finds out that Alex became famous because of his act with a bank. He even gets the like from the leader Zed. Tons of people are messaging him, and Cy sets him up on a date with a girl that uses the alias Kira. Alex goes out with her and they chat about hacking and the dark web. Alex learns Kira is a very capable hacker. Cy calls Alex and tells him to ask Kira to work with them. Alex asks her and she agrees. The duo becomes a trio, and soon they commit tons of frauds in which they get tons of money and fame on the forum. After some time, Cy gets suspicious of her because she always finds customers that fast. Alex tells him that her uncle helps her with that, but Cy doesn't believe in that story. That night, Cy hears Kira talking to Alex and saying that the two of them should go to Hong Kong. Cy figures out that Kira stole his position, and he gets really mad. He argues with her while she's making a deal with some gangster-looking fellas. They pull their guns on the trio, and they tell them they will never do business with them. He also threatens them, and he says that he will kill them if they try to sell something to someone he knows. That night, Cy and Kira make peace. And then the trio travels to Hong Kong. There, the trio checked in at a luxury hotel, and they bought a place for their work headquarters. And then they continued to do their usual things. They were stealing credit cards and they used them to buy goods. It was easier for them to do that in Hong Kong. They had a huge number of credit cards, and usually they would check them before using them. However, sometimes they would forget to check them, and it would surprise them when sellers find out that they stole a specific card. The trio would then feel the thrill of a chase. One night, Cy invites Alex and Kira to a club because it's his birthday. In the club, Alex is talking with Kira. He tells her he feels bad because he forgot about Cy's birthday. Cy is dancing with an escort girl, and the guy who paid her first approaches him. They argue, and soon the situation escalates into a fistfight. Alex rushes in to calm the situation, but eventually both he and Cy end up in custody. The guard releases them in the morning, and they find Kira outside. Alex asks her how she released them, and she tells him she had help from her uncle. Later, Cy shows up with a nice amount of money, and he gives it to Alex and Kira as an apology for his behavior from last night. He shows Alex the card he used, and Alex gets mad at him because he used a card from a Colombian gangster. Alex reminds him that it was really dangerous, and then he tells him to leave them because he only brings bad things to the group. Cy gets his things and he leaves. Alex immediately regrets his decision, but it's too late. After that incident, Alex and Kira decide to pull up a series of ATM robberies across Hong Kong. The duo robs a great number of ATMs, and after each robbery, they'll leave the dark web business cards so that Zed can notice them. Alex wants to get closer to Zed because he believes together they can do great things against the corrupted system. After the action, they celebrate. Everything is nice and both of them are happy until Kira tells Alex that she wants to back out. They argue. Alex wants to destroy the banks while Kira wants to lie low and invest money in something that will make their lives financially stable. The situation escalates, but it's quickly changed when Kira kisses Alex. Alex then sees a message from Zed, who congratulates him about the ATM job. Alex uses a chance to tell Zed that he has a plan for stealing billions of dollars. Eventually, they arrange a meeting. Kira is not happy with that, but he stays with Alex. Tomorrow, they go to a remote island where Zed is hiding, and they meet him. Alex talks about his plan with him, and Zed agrees to help him. But he warns Alex that he will kill him and his family if he makes a mistake. Alex and Kira return to the car. Alex checks his phone only to find voice messages from Cy. He tells them he's sorry and that he came back to the hotel. The duo comes back to the hotel and they find Cy dead in the bathtub. It turns out that a Colombian gangster tracked him down and he sent his men to kill him. Alex feels broken, but he knows he has work to do. He and Kira go to New York where they need to pull out a job with Zed, who is monitoring everything on this yacht. The goal is to crash the stock market so that Zed can make all the profit. Alex is with his team in an office, and Kira comes a little late because she talked with her uncle. And then we can see the Federal Reserve chairman arriving at Wall Street, only to be shot by a sniper. Alex's team makes articles about this incident immediately, and they're doing their best to spread the news. Every billionaire across the world gets informed, and they immediately withdraw everything from stocks, and Zed uses that to make a profit. News that the Federal Reserve chairman died is everywhere. The entire world is shocked. Alex uses a chance to put a trace on the Colombian gangster so that the FBI catches him. That way, Alex will avenge Cy. The group of hunters gets a call, and we find out that the Federal Reserve Chairman is alive and that he's one of those hunters. Everything was a part of Zed's plan, and he set everything up. Alex and Kira get out of the office and they get into a car. Suddenly, masked men show up and they knock Alex unconscious. He wakes up with a bag on his head. He's with two men, and one of them injects something into him. Alex wakes up in an apartment and he immediately goes into an airport where he goes to Bangkok. He and Kira made a deal to meet in a temple there if anything goes wrong. Alex arrives and he waits for Kira, but there is no trace of her. One day he goes to a gaming center to use the internet and he pays with a credit card. There, Alex finds out that the FBI caught Zed and that Kira died in the shootout. The woman who works in the gaming center sees a warning that the card is stolen and she calls the cops. They show up and they throw Alex in jail. In jail, Alex figures out how alone he is and how many bad things he has done. After 2 years, they released Alex. Outside, he finds Kira in her car. She goes out and explains everything to Alex. The cybercrime unit caught her, and we find out that Curtis from the bank security is a CCU agent. He's the uncle she was talking about all the time, and she was working undercover for him to catch Zed. Curtis was a real mastermind. The movie ends with them driving away, ready to start a new life. Well, that's our video. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the like button if you enjoyed it, and also hit the bell icon so you get notified if we have a new story for you. After this video, why don't you check out the videos we've attached for you? See you next!